Right now, somewhere near you, someone is standing outside a building on a break. It's the most ordinary thing in the world, and it's also one of the oldest things humans do, except the plant in their hand is a newcomer. Tobacco didn't reach Europe until the 1500s. Columbus watched people on a Caribbean island rolling dried leaves and inhaling the smoke, and it took decades before anyone back home took it seriously. So here's a question. That sounds simple. What were people smoking before that? Because they were, for thousands of years, on continents that had never heard of tobacco and never would. And what turns up in those pipes is stranger than anyone expected. Start with the oldest hard evidence we have. In Alabama, archaeologists found a stone pipe with residue still trapped inside it, dating back around 3,500 years. That's older than the Roman Empire, older than the pyramids at Giza were ancient to the Romans. But here's what actually matters about that pipe. Until recently, if you dug one up, you were basically guessing. You could say people smoked. You couldn't say what. Then chemistry caught up. A technique called residue analysis lets researchers pull individual plant compounds out of the burnt crust inside a pipe bowl thousands of years after the last person put it down. Suddenly, you're not guessing anymore. You're reading a receipt, and the receipts got weird. The first surprise was where it didn't say tobacco. Researchers in Washington state analyzed pipes from long before tobacco farming reached the region and found something else entirely, a plant called smooth sumac, which people had apparently been smoking for generations, not as a substitute, as the actual thing. The second surprise was how many plants show up. Bearberry, sometimes called kinnikinick, willow bark, dogwood, manzanita. Across different regions, different peoples, different centuries, a whole catalog of things being deliberately dried, prepared, and burned. Now think about what that actually requires. You don't accidentally discover that a specific plant, dried a specific way, produces smoke that does something to you. You have to test it. Someone has to be the first person to burn a leaf and breathe it in on purpose, knowing it might be poison. And then someone has to remember which one worked and pass that on. The third surprise is the one that changes the shape of the whole story. This didn't happen in one place and spread. It happened separately in the Americas, in Asia, in Africa, in Europe, among people who had no contact with each other whatsoever. Cannabis residue turns up in wooden braziers in a burial site high in the Pamir Mountains of western China, roughly 2,500 years old, with the compounds present at levels suggesting the plants were selected deliberately rather than gathered at random. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away, completely unconnected people were building pipes of their own. Same behavior, no shared origin, which leaves the question nobody's fully answered. Why does this keep happening? Smoking gives you no calories. It doesn't keep you warm. A fire already does that better. It doesn't cure anything reliably. It costs time, effort, and material to prepare, and it damages the person doing it. By every rule of survival, this should have died out immediately, everywhere, every time. Instead, it did the opposite. The best explanation researchers have is that smoke was never really about the smoke. Almost everywhere it appears alongside something else, a ceremony, an agreement, a burial, a decision. The pipe from that Chinese burial wasn't sitting in a kitchen. It was in a tomb with music instruments around a body. The smoke was the marker that separated an ordinary moment from an important one, and that's the part that survived long after the original meaning was gone. The cigarette break isn't really about nicotine. It's a reason to leave the room. It's the 10 minutes where a conversation happens that wouldn't have happened at the desk. It's two people standing outside a building together, doing nothing productive, in a way everyone silently agrees is allowed, which is functionally the same thing that was happening in a tomb in the Pamir Mountains 2,500 years ago. The plant changed, the chemistry changed, the reason didn't.